Hi guys, welcome to for our first KlunCast in English. Today here I'm with Coach Klun,
Hello.
and we also have a special guest today, Coach Larson. For you guys who didn't know, Coach Larson worked with Coach Klun for 2 years at Vanguard University here in Southern California, and he was also my coach for for my junior and senior year at Calvary Chapel High School. Um, Yeah, so today we're just gonna start with a few questions, Coach. Um, so our first question for you was, how did your passion for basketball develop to the point where you decided to become a basketball coach?
Started playing when I was 5 and just played and played and um, got out of high school, still played back back in the 90s. He played outdoors. So it was just pick up ball anywhere and everywhere. So just played a lot of pickup ball, ended up playing with a lot of really good players like Jeff Fryer, who you guys know. Played with some NBA guys down in Newport Beach and up to San Francisco and played open gyms and I played 5 6 days a week. I played 2 hours a day. Could never get enough of basketball. So finished my degree and yeah, started teaching. And I bumped into a teacher one day, actually in a bathroom. I was washing my hands, and he walks over and we're washing our hands. And he was the girls' coach at a high school, and he said, we talk about basketball all the time. Why don't you think about coaching? And this was 1999. And so I went to the boys coach and asked him if he had a spot, and his freshman spot was open. So took that first year, had no idea what I was doing. Made it up as I went along based on what I kind of knew about basketball. And then end of that year in the spring, he gave me a piece of paper. He said, "Hey, I don't know who this guy is, but there's this Mike Dunlap guy is doing a clinic at Tustin High School." So I was like, "Great, I'll go check it out." And probably the biggest game changer for me in my coaching career was that clinic, meeting Mike Dunlap, who became my mentor, and then not just that, but meeting the coach at Tustin, uh, who is also my mentor, and I coached with him for 10 years. So we're still friends and talk quite a bit about basketball. So
Yeah,
yeah,
It's
that's
awesome,
awesome.
coach.
finding the right
Um,
people.
no, yeah. So you worked at two different high schools at Tustin and Calvary for a long time. And I wanted to ask you so everybody that's watching can know when you were coaching in high school, both at Tustin and Calvary, what you look for in players to be part of your program on and off the court? What are the main things you look for in players?
You know, being a Tustin, getting to Tustin in 2000, 2004, 2005, we had tough players. And we had guys that loved the game. They weren't always the best player, but they had a passion for the game. That program is probably one of the mentally toughest programs that I know of in Orange County, LA, and Southern California. A lot of practice. It's very hard. It's very disciplined. You'll figure out real fast if you love the game or if you just like the game at a place like that. So um, just getting a chance to be around players that absolutely love the game. It wasn't always about the talent. I mean, we had talented players. We got to coach a lot of really talented players when I was there, but guys that absolutely love and feed on the game, that can't get enough of it, that practices, that they love practice as much as they love the game. They just want to be there every day, working on their game, getting better, loving the competition in practice, and being pushed and being coached. I think that's 99% of it, is you have to want to be coached. Some kids don't want to be coached, and the kids we had at Tustin, they wanted to be coached. They want to push me, coach, push it harder. How good can we become? And I mean, that's just, Andre, that's the biggest part of it. If you're coachable, you have a chance.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. And a little more on that, I was thinking, like, if there's some kids watching us that want to play high school. There's going to be a lot of kids from Brazil watching that want to go play high school in the US someday. If you had to give them some advice on what they got to work on as far as like what kind of skills, what kind of like intangibles, what they can work on in their game that's going to make them successful at the high school level.
Yeah, I mean, coming over from Brazil, I mean, the challenge is making sure you find the right spot for you as a player. I mean, are you coming over just to have fun? I want to play a little basketball and get my academics and go to college, or do I want, is college, what is your goals with basketball? And then making sure you find the right coaches to do that. And then once you find them, whatever, be the best, go the hardest in practice. Off the court, what are you working on your game? Basketball is kind of a unique sport where you can always work on it. It's, football, you got to have somebody to throw the ball to, or, baseball, you got to be able to go to a batting cage or something. But basketball, you can sit in your room and dribble a ball. You can go outside and you can find a hoop somewhere. So, how hard do you want to work on your game? It's, we have so much in America, we have so much travel ball, and we have less practice than we do travel ball, and it's hurting our game over here in America. I think Jalen Rose, said on ESPN the other night, he just kind of made a direct point to American players. He said, watch yourselves, because the European and the international players are outgrowing you in terms of their games. They're more fundamental. They know the game better. They understand the game better than American players. And it's, and a coach told me that he worked in Brazil and in Spain, and he said in America it's 10 games for one practice, and he goes, everywhere else it's 10 practices for one game. So that's, embrace practice. It's my favorite part. The game is for the kids. The practice is for coaches. I love practice. So
Yeah, and I remember, so when you were coaching at Calvary, the emphasis you had on defense too. Um, what what would you say to people, about defense and the importance of defense on the basketball court in the high school and college level, actually at all levels, but specifically at where you coached? What would you say like is the importance of it?
players are so skilled. Being able to shoot the ball now, the 3-point shot is such a massive part of the game. When I grew up, there wasn't a 3-point line in high school until I was a sophomore. So shooting that shot seemed ridiculous. But, your generation, it's, everybody shoots the three. You look at the NBA, 6'10", 7 foot, it doesn't matter. They all are so skilled at, being able to shoot long distance, mid range. So, I mean, it's amazing how much emphasis you even hear about the NBA in their draft. They're looking for guys who can guard, because it's so hard to find, guys who can even slow down an NBA player. You don't stop NBA players. You just try to slow them down. And even in high school, I mean, we see, how many players did we see just a couple of years at Calvary? We saw some really good players that, finding those right matchups, finding guys that are so valuable that, Tyler on our team, Tyler Peterson, who could match up with different guys and stop a guard, stop a forward, and having a 6'5" guy who could, like Carson, who could go out and guard multiple players it's a huge skill, and college coaches who live for that, finding guys who can really lock up defensively. It's a valuable skill to have. You will get a coach's attention when they see you in a stance and trying to guard. It's, the game is not just about how many points you can score. So, they talk about 3 and D and 4 and D, and the guys who can stop the ball. I mean, the rookie of the year in the NBA was he first team all defense. I mean, yes, he can score. He's a very talented scorer, but I mean, guys really respect the fact that he can really protect the rim and get out and guard guys. So you gotta love it. I mean, basketball, to me, the best players are complete players. Michael Jordan was a complete player. Kobe Bryant, they got in the stance and they defended. And yeah, they were amazing scorers, but they could stop the ball. and they cared about defense.
Yeah.
And when we keep evaluating players, going from you coached at Tustin and Calvary, but you also coached at the college level at Vanguard University and Westcliff. What would you say, like when you're evaluating kids to have on your program, as a coach from college, what are the biggest differences? What are the biggest things that you think high school players have to evolve to be a good college player?
Well, I mean, the biggest thing, especially for you and me when we were at Vanguard, was trying to find players that fit the head coach, because every head coach in college has a different personality. So you're trying to find players that fit that coach's personality. So coaching for Rhett Soliday, Rhett has a very specific personality, and you had to find players that would love playing for Rhett, and then Rhett wanted to coach. Whereas if I was at say UCLA with a Mick Cronin, who's very intense, he's a different kind of coach. Danny Hurley up at UConn is very intense. He gets after his guys. Not everybody. I don't know if everybody could play for him. Same when I was at Tustin, not everybody could play at Tustin. That's not something that everybody would want. So again, it comes back to, how much do you love the game? I mean, when you and I were recruiting guys, you could see some guys, they're playing, but they just didn't seem to have a passion for the game. And sometimes at the NAI level, you've got to balance things out. You're not going after the same guys that UCLA and Kentucky are going after. So, the players you have at the NAI level may not have all the tools. So you're looking for specific things that can fit into your team to make it work. You're not going to find 7'2" centers at the NAI level. You're looking for maybe a 6'5", 6'7" guy that can just really defend the rim, who's tough, can rebound, and make smart decisions. You're just looking for different kinds of players, but you're looking for guys who love the game.
For sure. And after Vanguard, you were the head coach at Westcliff. And when you were at Westcliff, that you're building your own team, what were the 4 or 5 main things that you would look for in a player? What kind of system do you wanted to run, and what kind of skills those players had to have for you to build your system?
Yeah, Westcliff was a completely different challenge from Vanguard because we had no scholarships. So it was you're looking for players who just really want to play college basketball. So you may get lucky sometimes and get a kid that has put up some numbers, but you're also looking for players who are going to be able to pay their way. And not every kid is looking to pay their way to college to play basketball. So it was scouring the country for that tough, gritty kid that understood where he was going, that it was going to be tough. We weren't necessarily going to win. We weren't playing for national championships. We were second-year program with no money, no facility. We had no locker rooms. They were having to pay for their own apartments in Irvine, which is not cheap. So just feeding them was a challenge. So there was lots of different challenges. I learned a lot about myself at Westcliff, of what I could tolerate and what I could, get myself through. Having to drive vans, and a couple times I had to pay for the hotels. So you have to find kids that understand what they were getting themselves into. That this was a kind of an experiment. That you're at a college who'd never run sports before. But it's an opportunity for you to actually play college basketball. And we played exhibition games and against some pretty good opponents. And so, I mean, it's a good experience for them, but it was a tough experience. I knew any players we found that were probably pretty good players. My best player I coached there, he was homeless. We weren't part of the NAI. We had no rules. So I paid for his down payment on his apartment, so I could get him into a house and get him into housing so he could start his college career. That was kind of the things we had to do. We had to be creative with, just finding players. And we found, a few guys. We had some guys from Brazil that came up, and they were in the same boat. They realized that this was not a perfect situation. There was no scholarship money. They were going to have to. Their parents were having to pay a lot of money for them to go there. So, that was the biggest thing for me. I was just trying to find kids that loved basketball so bad that they were willing to sacrifice a little bit to play. Because it wasn't going to be, at Vanguard, they got scholarships and housing and food that were fed, and we just didn't have that. So definitely learned some lessons. And the fun part about being a head coach is, Andrea, is you get to run your own stuff. The assistant coach, you always run that, whatever, when we were with Rhett, we ran what Rhett ran. When I was at Tustin, we ran whatever, I ran whatever boss wanted us to run. So getting to run the 1-1-3, Mike Dunlap taught me the 1-1-3 when he was at Metro State and Loyola. We ran a little bit at Tustin, but getting to run the defenses that I dreamed of and getting a chance to see if they worked. We ran them at Calvary. So getting to run stuff that you want to run, motion offense. I love motion offense. So running motion, things like that. And just, convincing, even though Westcliff was a tough situation, to see that they work, that these things work, that when executed well, the stuff, if you're committed to it, it'll work, it'll be successful. So that was a good lesson for me at Westcliff, that, if you know your stuff and you work on it, it will be successful. We beat some pretty good teams that we had no business beating because we threw some defensive stuff that they hadn't seen before. So that was the joy of Westcliff. And and the same at Calvary, as the 2 years of, Papa's team last year was probably one of the best defensive teams, I ever coached. We didn't, I mean, you can tell we didn't blow anybody out that was good, but we played with everybody. We didn't get blown out. We gave everybody a game because we shut teams down. We played defense and we executed enough offensively, and we weren't a great 3-point shooting team, but as the year went on, I think we figured out who we were. We were a tough inside team and a tough defensive team, and you just build your identity as a team. And I think defensively it really helps you build an identity when you can get stops.
Yeah, definitely. And with that also, you kind of touched a little bit on that, but I was gonna ask you, what would you say are your favorite memories as a coach? Doesn't matter if it's assistant coach or a head coach. What do you think, a few lessons that you learned throughout the way? But what were some of those memories that you really like cherish?
It's the kids. It's the kids and the coaches I got to work with and the friends you make in after 24 years of being in, the game, you get just friends and kids you got to coach, and now they're your friends. You get to know them on a different level. But just the kids. I mean, the games were great. I remember we obviously got to coach some great games, won a championship at Calvary, but I remember the kids way more than I remember the games. Just the person, building all those bridges with all these kids and getting to watch them grow up. And I mean, the kids I coached at Tustin are now, they're approaching 40 years old and having kids, and it's amazing to watch what they're doing. And we still got kids at Tustin who are playing professional basketball, and I coached them back in 2012. So just seeing all of them grow up and not just success, but go through struggles and then find their way, and be able to talk to them or go have dinner with them. And those are the things that's what I remember. I remember the kids and the coaches, getting to work with Andre at Vanguard. I mean, there was, just great luck to be able to show up at Vanguard at the same time that he did and get to work with Andre, because, things like that's really special. And, you guys know Coach Heenan. I didn't know Coach Heenan before I got to Vanguard, and he's one of my best friends. I will never forget George Tuttle. I enjoyed talking to Coach Tuttle as much as anybody in the world. He was such a unique human being. And then Brett and, Bill Check at Hope International, and all the coaches we got to meet along the way they're still my friends. I love talking to them and hanging out. And talking basketball and life with them, and they're the same way. They love talking about the kids they coached. That's what makes it special.
Amen to that, Coach. Basketball is a great game, but all the friendships, all the coaches that we meet, all the players that we meet, I'm still in touch with a lot of coaches that coached me a long time ago. I haven't played in 16 years, but I'm still in touch with a lot of the coaches that used to coach me, and with kids that I coached over 10 years ago and coaches that I've coached together. I've been back from the US for 6 years now, and me and you are still really good friends. Soliday, Coach Heenan, all the names you mentioned that coached together with us. That's definitely a blessing to experience all that, and that's all through basketball. It's all the connections that are made through this great game is definitely what it's all about. And we're starting to run out of time a little bit. We still got about 5-10 minutes, but one last question I wanted to ask you. Like I mentioned earlier, there's going to be a lot of kids watching this podcast that want to move over to the US, play high school, play college. Probably a lot of young kids, 14, 15, 16 years old, 17. If you had to give them some advice about skills, what should they work on? What kind of stuff on the court are gonna help them improve and get a chance to play in college, in high school first, and then in college?
Yeah, I mean, ball handling, shooting, tons of repetitions. What you get in practice is not enough. You have to do it on your own. You have to get out and you have to, a good shooter should be shooting 500 shots a day. I remember being at Snow Valley, and one of the coaches, Tate's Lock, said, he goes, if you shoot a shot in a game and you haven't practiced that shot 300 times a day, you shouldn't take that shot. Work on your game. Work on, everybody should have a go-to move and a counter move to that go-to move. That's the basics. And then, if you're coming from Brazil and you're meeting coaches over here, especially even high school coaches, but especially college, anybody who recruits you is treat them with respect, even if you think it's not the level you should be at. If it's NAIA, Division II, Division III, whatever it is, be grateful. When they extend a hand and a handshake, look them in the eye and shake their hand and be grateful they're giving you their time and might be interested in you playing for them, whatever it is, because that's what they want. They want to have players that are engaged. So shooting and ball handling is big. Being unselfish, trying to make, the biggest thing is coaches want guys that make everybody around them better. I was thinking about it today. I mean, most of these kids are too young to watch, but see them. But Bill Walton was a like someone said it today. He was Joker before there was a Joker. He was a big man who could pass, and he made everyone around him better. And he loved the game. I mean, Bill Walton loved life. So play hard, work on your game, relentlessly, and enjoy it. If you find that it's work, it might not be for you. Because I don't remember ever walking into the gym thinking it was going to be work. Just enjoy it because it's so much fun. Basketball is such a great game.
Awesome, Coach. That's a great message. If kids take that in and work on everything you're saying, I think they're definitely going to have a better chance in the future with basketball. And I really appreciate having you over at our KlunCast. We're trying to give a lot of different perspectives on the games to kids here through this podcast. And like both of us said throughout this podcast, we've been such great friends. We could go hours here talking about basketball, talking about the love of the game and stuff that kids can work on. But unfortunately, like we have amount of time that we have available here. But once again, thank you very much
Thank you.
for
Thanks for the invite.
coming over.
Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe we'll do it again in the future. And thanks.
Absolutely. Thank you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much, Coach Larson and Coach Klun for the KlunCast today. And just here letting everyone know and letting Coach Larson know we can't wait for you to come out of Brazil, do some camps with us. And yeah, appreciate you being here. And thank you so much for watching, guys.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah,
I'm
and
blessed to have both you guys in my life. So that's for certain.
awesome, Coach. And like we've talked before, you're gonna be here at some point in Brazil
Yeah.
teaching those kids that are watching, doing a camp. We're working on it. Everybody be ready. Coach Larson will be in Brazil soon with a camp, with Team Klun camp. All
Yeah,
right,
I'm
guys.
retired now, so I got more time to go to camps in Brazil. So,
Awesome. Can't wait to have you.
yep, looking forward to it.
All right.
Sounds good. Bye, everybody.